Hello.
Hey,
I got my mic on here.
I like,
Hello, hello. Sorry, I'm not prepared.
no, I know.
Had time to prepare, and then I got that phone call, and it took all of my prepping time away.
What's your hat? Refi? Like refinance?
Yeah, I'm giving everybody financial advice on this one. I think it's Reffy. It's like a makeup brand.
Refi.
Reffy. We're doing a late night pod, right? We can be like, we're doing a late night pod tonight
Mm-hmm.
because we got a man with children on the line.
Oh, that's a good start. Good idea.
Yeah.
We're recording later than we normally
He's got
do
two
because we've got a
sons.
dad
Yeah.
trying to break away. Hey,
Hello.
there he is.
Tommy,
How's it going, guys?
How are you?
how are you, Tom?
Doing all right. Long old day.
It's a late night. A late night in the house.
Yeah. Well, the boys are still up. They're watching a bit of a movie, but this is the only time I had pretty much.
Well, thanks for
Okay.
joining us.
Oh, thank you guys.
We're
Didn't catch.
recording, yeah, we're recording a little later than normal to adapt to a dad's schedule.
Yeah. So we've got a daddy in the house.
So the kids,
8:30 p.m., baby.
how old are the kids?
Magnus is 7, Seamus is 4.
Magnus and Seamus. They sound
Yeah.
like wild boys.
Yeah. They are. I mean, Magnus now, he's out of his wild stage and he's 7. He's more mature. His younger brother though is really the other day at the meeting, I had a comment all lined up for him, and he just like gave me a quick side eye. And he's got an imaginary friend, and he went straight into imaginary friend talk. He's like, "Who's called Baby House?" He's like, "Baby House was eating this and that." Nobody knows what
He
he's
said
saying.
this in his comment.
Oh yeah, Sarah was at home Zooming, texting me. She was dying. But he's a proper rascal, that fella. It's tough. We were watching this. We were watching the show. I think it came from this National Geographic show about
Uh-huh.
some Scottish fella who had a pet otter. Did you see that at all? It was lovely. It was a
Uh,
really nice show. It's on the Disney anyway app, and that
Okay.
otter had a small house, and I think we called that. Oh, look at his little baby house. And then I think that's the
Oh.
genesis of it. But baby house gets up to all sorts. It's out there getting into all sorts of trouble. It could be responsible for influencing him to do things, and it's hilarious.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what was your job today?
job was pretty exciting today. I take a boat every morning, so I'm over on it's like a smaller boat. It only fits like 50 or 60 people. It's mostly outside seating, so it's like chilly every morning. But I had a couple of jobs going. I have an addition I'm finishing up on the vineyard, like two 16 by 16s either end of the house, a screened-in porch, and a new bedroom and bath. So it's like the painters just got done. We're finishing up the plumber, electrician, cleaning up the house. So the guy working there, we've got some screened indoors, and then the other house, we were knocking a chimney, and we were getting down to the basement, but the chimney had collapsed, and it had warped all the old floor. It's an old house, I guess. I don't know how I could look it up, but I know it's like from the 1800s anyway. But the floor has been fixed and bent again, and I found like old broken joists, so we have to get an engineer in. But in the meantime, we found out this house has been this breeding ground for skunks. So we thought skunks were living there. I called the skunk guy, and come to find out, he's got 12 skunks out of there in 9 days, and they're not all living there. And he like educated me. He's like, they're not living there; they breed there. This is a breeding spot.
oh
They
wow.
come in and
What?
breed, and then they head out. He's catching all young females. There must be
Classic.
some stud that just
Yeah.
posts up there
This is classic
for
skunk
breeding
behavior
season.
from the women skunk.
But
Yeah. This is
it's pretty
normal.
brutal, like, but So today I had to like temporarily shore up all the areas and leave one area for for the skunks to get out for him to catch, so we can work underneath there. Yeah, they'd
That is
stink up the whole
crazy.
house. Yeah,
Ugh.
So
but it was a
they're not spraying, like you're not smelling it. You just know they're there. And
no, we're smelling it. Yeah,
oh,
we'll come in the house and it'll be like just absolutely bombed out.
so
But it's not the worst smell in the world. Like it's very pungent, and it kind of just like once you open up the doors and stuff, it's all right, and you get used to it, obviously. But
You know
we,
what's going to happen? You're going to just start getting so used to the smell, you're going to create your own little niche perfume
I
that
think
you're
I
going to
already
call
have
the
that going.
perfume. You know,
I was thinking about that yesterday because we smelled skunk really bad at our house, and then I drove by it on the road, and it was like quarter mile, half mile down the road. So I can't imagine that
Wow.
condensed in a house,
oh,
Right.
how how you would get that out. Like, does it last? Or you just air it out and it's gone.
I guess I talked to the homeowners. They've known of skunks coming in and out of there for a long time. So it's like an old issue, which the guy who gets rid of the skunks in Martha's Vineyard, he's the only guy who does it.
Oh, okay.
Because
rich.
like by yeah, his
He's
name's
so rich.
Walter Walletcat. He's got a cool name, but they
Walter
have
Wallace.
they have to get rid of the animal on site. That's Massachusetts law.
Oh,
So the animal can't leave the property alive, unfortunately.
What?
So it's always like a tricky thing when like we couldn't work in the basement. It's literally where they're all at,
yeah.
and we have to take up the floor. It's like the joists are this far off the dirt, so they're all just in between the bays. Like I
Oh,
guess,
Wow.
so
So you work in Martha's Vineyard. Where do you live?
we live in Hyannis. So
Yes.
it's Hyannis is 22 miles from the vineyard, which in
Okay.
the summer I get to take a boat here over. In the winter, I have to travel down to Falmouth, which is like 45 minutes kind of southwest. And that's the main kind of harbor to the vineyard. And I
Gotcha.
take a smaller boat. They have a bigger ferry service there, the steamship, but it literally adds 2 hours to my commute if I use that
Oh,
boat because of like parking, extra buses to get to the boat and all
yeah.
that. This other boat is nice. It just zips over 25 minutes. It's it's a cool feel to it. Like you're outside, like
yeah.
you see the sunrise. It's more of you're on a boat, where the other one you'd
Yeah.
forget you're on a boat. It's so huge, just like a big
Yeah.
giant ship. So I love it. And there's
That's
all
cool.
characters on the boat. Like there's
Yeah.
regulars that get the seats in the cold weather. I got like thicker, like you. It's like going snowboarding in the morning. You dress up for that. Like you're all wrapped up. You sit outside,
Yeah.
and it's a bit of a
It's
laugh.
probably good for you too to be out like a little bit in the brisk air early in the morning. Do you feel like it does good?
Oh yeah, I like. I'm sure you. I don't know. You guys have mentioned him. I think the Huberman Lab
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We talk about it every once in a while.
right? The sunlight in the morning. A while
Yeah.
ago, he
Uh-huh.
had one of those. He had a guy Jack Krause on, which I thought was
Mhm.
fascinating. So I'm always I
Ready for it.
take in the sunlight in the morning and the
Yeah.
evening. I think it does help, and I usually around 9:30, 10, I try and get to bed.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, okay.
between then and it works out nice. So I'll be up early. I can get a boat at 5:55 or 7:15
Cool.
Okay.
if I want to be productive. I need to be on those boats
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
and then I can take a 3:45 or a 5 home. So it's
Okay.
a later day, but
Yeah.
I used to
But
work in
that's really
Boston,
cool.
so it's
Oh,
like a
okay.
similar commute to going to
Yeah.
Boston. This is like it's gorgeous. I love going across the water.
That's cool.
You know.
Did you notice Jake's t-shirt, Tom?
I'm just
Oh, okay, yeah. We got some Merseyside action going on over there.
I feel like
Nice. Oh, I should have worn me Man United jersey. I wasn't thinking.
well, let's
The
go
ha-
back a little bit. Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Cork in Ireland, but in a town just outside it called Ballincollig.
Okay.
So it was like a satellite town that's actually now part of the city limits because it's all kind of connected.
Yeah.
But it was just outside the city, probably 5 miles outside the city. And we grew up there, and we grew up in a kind of I don't know what you call like a development where houses are right on top of each other
Yeah.
type thing. Went to a all Catholic school, St. John's. We called it Scullowen. That's the Irish for St. John. And the girls went to
Oh,
St. Mary's, which was called Skulmira, which is Saint Mary.
Yeah.
So in the shadow of
oh,
the church,
I didn't know that.
we went to school. And we
You were
know there
in the
was no
church.
pre. I don't think I ever went in that church ever. I have no memory of it.
So just the school.
Just the school, like the church is here, and the school was just inside it. And
That's
Huh.
I used to
pretty.
skate
That's pretty common, right? Everyone goes to basically a Catholic school
for
in.
the most part. Yeah,
Yeah.
there
Oh,
was
okay.
kids in the hall that I grew up in that didn't. There was other schools in the city, but yeah,
Yeah.
the majority of schools would be. This was an older school too. I forget how old. It was the oldest school in Ballincollig anyway. There was newer schools that popped up, and they mightn't have been as religious, I suppose. You know, there
Hmm.
was religion class when we were growing up, and they did the Angelus, which is a prayer at noon. So they said a
Huh.
prayer every day at noon. Like here, they salute the flag. There, they
Yeah.
they they pray to the Lord, which is
Huh.
nice.
You grew up in a, is it predominantly Catholic or is it all Catholic? And then, I mean, obviously witnesses other people, but like,
Yeah.
is the main class Catholic, or was
Oh
the
yeah.
Catholic Protestant uh butting of heads a problem in Cork, or is that more north?
I, growing up, my father would be a better man to ask that now. From my perspective, that was in the north. I
Mhm.
was aware of the troubles always in the news. Like there was always a segment on some type of violence in the north. So it was always just there. But that was
Hmm.
like 5 hours north,
Yeah.
5 or 6 hours north of, and we were in the southern part of Ireland. But all Catholic though. Like we
Okay.
were, like, it was weird to be a Jehovah's Witness. Like it
Yeah.
was just like I didn't know how weird it was. On even
Yeah.
now, I appreciate it more.
Mhm.
Looking back and
Yeah.
seeing my own boys in school too. Really, is what it starts hitting me. It's like wow, like I
Hmm.
was in a school and
Yeah.
I was made fun of for it for most my school life. So
Uh-huh.
it was tricky, but it was when it was every day, you kind of expected it. Like I didn't like school wasn't fun. You had like
Yeah.
it was just
You're
we
like,
had a
either
couple tough
way, it's
teachers.
not going to be great.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to get out of school. I was
Yeah.
15, I dropped out, but
Okay. Is
um,
that when you started skating and surfing more, would you say? Or were you
I
not
didn't
doing
I
it at
didn't
all?
surf till way later. But I started skateboarding when I was younger. There was two kids in the
Okay.
hall who got skateboards, probably early 90s, and they were the like there was no kick in the front of it. It was just the back.
Yeah.
And it was just
Hmm.
another toy type thing. Every like they got that toy. I heard of a few other kids, and we just had two of them. I remember when we bought them, and we kind of used it for a bit, and then they rusted out because they were left outside. One of them became like a planter holder for my mom, and then there was like a resurgence of it. Whereas there was a couple other kids in the hall were getting into it, and we were like 12, I remember, and going
That's
on
cool.
a bit of a like summer vacation all together, camping down the south, and we went bodyboarding um,
Mhm.
for the first time. That was the first time I ever really caught a wave and got like hooked on just moving down a wave. But it'd be like another 20 years before I got into surfing out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But skateboarding was like I remember I bought a secondhand skateboard from a kid, scrounged together bits and pieces in the second wave of the and that would be like probably 97, I think. And
So
then from there on,
did you get into like, I mean, you feel kind of a little bit like an outcast because you're a witness around a bunch of
right.
Catholics. Did you get into the subculture of skateboarding and punk rock and
Yeah.
all of that, or do you just like to skateboard, or did you kind of go all in with that whole
I
genre?
think I think it just happened naturally. Like I was definitely interested in skateboarding. I thought it was fun, but that I didn't play the school sports, so I just kind of I remember the first year of like kind of high school. Um, I could make a joke in class and stuff and get the teacher to laugh and the kids, but it was after class. Like we were all of a sudden mixed girls and boys for like the secondary school we called it, and I just like I just like all of a sudden I just wasn't cool outside the class because I wasn't hanging out with the kids. I
Mm.
wasn't doing
Right.
anything with them. I wasn't playing sports, and
Yeah.
I was into skateboarding, which was already weird. So that first year was tough. But then that I kind of liked skateboarding, other kids in the class who were the outcasts and the punks and all that, they got into it too. So then all of a sudden I had friends in school, and it didn't matter if we were all made fun of for
Right.
skateboarding. There was probably only three of us, and the rest of the school were just, like, I love soccer too, but
Uh-huh.
I just didn't, I just wasn't part of their friends, and they just thought I was, you know, weird for not doing those things, and all the other things that came with it, not doing. Sure, parents had the wildest ideas of what we were doing.
Yeah.
We'd be asked questions like, "Are you allowed to eat chocolate? Like, can you watch
Yeah.
TV?" It was like the stories were just wild. Like, and you were always called a Jehovah, never a Jehovah's Witness. So,
Yeah.
but I kept to that. And once I left, I was 15. I started working for my dad. Um, it was like whatever. Like I was the low guy in the totem pole socially at school, and then going into the workforce where it just seemed like everybody was on the same page. Like people
Yeah.
stopped making fun of you but for silly reasons.
Uh-huh.
The, the workplace it wasn't like I wasn't made fun of. I was definitely the low guy, coming into the business, and was made look for the crazy things in the job site.
Yeah.
But it was I was hanging out with like guys who were probably like 16, 17, and 18 that I never would have hung out with. In fact, two of the lads in my school who were the most popular lads when I was, let's say, a freshman or whatever, they were like almost seniors. They were dating the best looking girls in my freshman class, right? They're like 4 or 5 years older, and they're dating a girl that sat next to me, and she would have this fella's name, Brian McNulty, all over her books. Be everywhere, and this other fella, Alan. They ended up working for my dad.
Oh
So
wow.
these two lads who would have never had anything to do with me anyway, like socially, then all of a sudden we're equals. We're all apprentices together,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that is
and
so funny.
and these lads were up to all sorts. Like I got like all of a sudden I was like in hanging out with these guys. I would have never hanged out with them in school, and
Yeah.
here at work I'm with them every day. So like I got to hear Tupac, like all Dr. Dre, all these lads like from these guys
Oh,
driving to work.
That's funny.
So it was such a shift from like not having any friends to like these guys
yeah.
liked, and I liked them, and we were good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they like I was the I mean the boss's son,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So they were going
You
to be
suddenly
nice to
were
me.
you suddenly were really high on the totem pole.
Kinda, yeah.
So
But
what
in the
was,
business, yeah, sorry.
oh, go ahead. So like what was that arc from being like 15 and or young and having those guys with you? Did you learn? Because I think of like my own experience with like guys that were older than me that worked for my dad that exposed me to all that music at the same time, like,
Yeah,
but then we got up into other stuff too, like
right.
just the natural way, I guess.
Yeah. Um, yeah. They were, I mean, I wasn't hanging out too much with them. It was more like the influence that, like, on the job site, but it was my dad hired some other lads in the hall too as apprentices and stuff who were older. And it was that crowd hanging out with them. They were like my crew all of a sudden in the city. We were going in the city. I stopped skateboarding a lot and I played a lot more soccer with these guys.
Mhm.
And I kind of stopped skateboarding, and then we moved to America when I was 18. So it's like 3 wild years. I got baptized at 17 just before I moved to America. So it was like these wild 2 or 3 years of
Yeah.
Yeah.
like got some stuff out of the system, and then I'm in America. You
So
know,
what was that? Like, why did you guys move to America?
there was um you know there's lots of different reasons, I suppose, but the reason we talked about was my mom's health, my mom's mental health. Um, I couldn't put a diagnosis on anything like that, but I know she suffered from postpartum depression.
Mm.
There's 7 kids in the house. Um, and she would go to Spain a lot when we were younger for the sunshine, right?
Hmm.
She was always looking for whatever it was out there that could help her.
Hmm.
She was amazing that way, like with diets, like light therapy, magnet therapy. She was into all that stuff, and we would benefit from it too. And anything she brought to the table, I never questioned, and they
Hmm.
really did work. Like the magnet therapy, I would still use them today.
Hmm.
If I had or hurt, like she introduced us to arnica. I don't. Do you guys ever use arnica for bumps and bruises?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I always make sure I have it on me. So for her mental health, she was doing the same thing. So I think she was just really, she always was in search of like what was best for her and the family. I think, you know.
And don't you feel like back then, like we've talked about this before, I feel like for our parents in that generation, it's kind of like a really sad thing that there were so many things going on with them probably separately, not just your parents, I don't know, but like with mine, with anybody who is in that age bracket, there wasn't a lot of support for like that type of thing.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
and the depression and things like that that come with
Hmm.
postpartum, and nobody's really even, talking about it back then probably.
Right.
So she probably did have to do a lot of it on her own and not even understanding it maybe fully by herself.
Yeah.
So that's probably a lot.
Yeah. I think so. She's a great mind for medical conditions,
Hmm.
and she had a great general we called it a GP. I think it was
Yeah,
the doctor,
general
or
practitioner.
that's
Would
it.
that
Yeah, they
be
probably call that here too,
okay?
right?
Yeah.
And she was fantastic. She was such a lovely woman. I forget her name now, but she was fantastic with my mom. And I think she was like a
Okay.
therapist for my mom too. I
Yeah.
remember spending, quite in the car waiting
Quite a
for
bit of
her.
time.
She would
Yeah.
do house calls, or my mom would visit her house or at her doctor's office. We went
Okay,
down. She
gotcha.
gave me my first stitches
Hmm.
ever. I wish I remember her name. No, she was great.
So where
But
did you
Uh,
land?
she,
Where did you land when you moved to the US? Like what
the
did
first place we
you
landed,
go to Boston or did you go somewhere
we went.
warm or
We flew into Miami.
Miami?
Yeah, we flew
nice.
into Miami, and I could not get over getting out of the plane. It felt like when we stepped outside, it was May. I couldn't get over the humidity. It
Yeah.
was like, we're outside. We were all like doing this, like trying to touch the air. Like, what's going on? Like, I kept looking up. I was like, well, no, we have to be inside. We couldn't get over it. And then the heat that hit us down there. My dad kind of thought like maybe we could swing it in Florida. They were still kind of deciding at the time. They sold the house in Ireland, and it was like my dad had a good business, so I think they had a good move that way financially. I think they got a fair
Mhm.
price for the house. So they were going to either pick Florida, or we had friends on the Cape that were already established, Irish friends. So it was a toss up. But once we spent like I think 2 weeks in Florida, my parents were great. They took us around to all the parks, and we
Okay.
had like Connor and Peter are younger, so
Yeah.
we it was so cool to bring them to
Yeah.
all these places.
That's
And
awesome.
but the heat was unbelievable. We were like, "There's
You
not
had
a
to
hope.
go.
There's not a hope. We're roofing down here."
Yeah.
So up to the northeast we went.
We
Okay, so
roofed in
that's how.
Florida for 4 months, so we know.
Oh yeah, I did it for 2 weeks. Is where I met my wife, roofing, and it's fine. Like once you get going and someone's feeding you Gatorade like every
Yeah.
20 minutes, you're okay. Like,
Where
but
was that? Where did you work in Florida that you met your wife and stuff? Like, what's that story?
we went down to what was it called? We were just south of my Homestead,
Hmm.
just south of Miami, and we worked some of the Keys and around Miami and stuff. And
Cool.
that was back in 2006.
Oh, well.
We went down there and did that. A bunch of lads from the Northeast went down there, and I ended up being great friends with all of them. I went to a meeting. I was trying to get into the international build. I had my form
Mhm.
filled out, and I was going to RBC, like, it's as much as I could. I
Uh-huh.
met a great group of lads up there, and we've been friends ever since. We did a trip from the Northeast. We drove all the way down to
Oh
Florida,
wow.
stopped off at friends in Tennessee and some other spot, and just like it was a classic American road trip.
Yeah.
I turned 21 on that trip too.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I only just saw Sarah down there. Like I saw her. She was with another crew from the Northeast, her brother and a bunch of lads she grew up with. I remember seeing her and like going like, oh, like she's good looking, like, and all the lads I was with is like, Tom, don't even look over there by. Like she's so out of your league. Like she's there's elder, you gotta be an elder, like you're
Yeah,
not
you come
kidding.
on.
Like there's elders who like her. I was like, all right, yeah, fair enough, whatever. And I didn't think, I just honestly thought like that's a good looking
Yeah,
sister out here.
so
Uh,
appropriate.
yeah.
The lovely sister.
She has a funny when she first noticed me, because I've always had a bit of a baby face, and like when I was 21 I still looked like I was 16. So at the meeting for like the roofing, like who's got what skills, I had, I was 21 but I'd been working for 6 years, and I roofed a bunch in America. So I put my hand up as someone with a lot of experience. And she's like, "Who's this young fella?" And she made sure she wasn't put in my group. She's like, "I don't want to be with those lads."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she's like, "I have to
She's like, this is a
protect
nice little
myself."
12-year-old trying to be on.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
these hotshot kids over here.
Yeah, that's
Was
We,
that disaster relief or was it just
yeah,
yeah,
disaster relief. Yeah,
cool.
it was such a good trip. We went to South Beach nearly every day.
Yeah.
Right after roofing, we played volleyball. We had two salsa parties. We had
oh
another party
wow.
where we're at. We caused a bit of a ruckus down there with the Spanish community is pretty conservative. We found out,
Yeah.
and
Then you met her, you guys, was it later on that you and her started dating, or was it
yeah, it
that
was
trip
like
that you
after
You had to
that, it was
wait till
like
he was
more.
over 18, obviously.
I was
Big.
21. I was 21. Still young though. We met a bunch more RBCs.
yeah.
Got to know each other then, and we went on a ski trip. Um, that she was there with her younger siblings. I was there with my buddy, and I pretended to be a very patient man, waiting for her and her younger siblings. I tricked her into thinking it was okay to wait for people like that, and I have no problem with it. So I stayed with her for the day, and we had a blast, and we
Oh,
got
that's
each other's
fun.
number, and we started dating a little bit after that. It was great, but
That's so fun. You're
yeah,
like, I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush. Take
yeah.
your time,
Let's take
lady.
our time. Yeah, we're just here to enjoy the mountain. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm just like, I just want to be in the park and doing my tricks or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I probably wasn't. I was definitely enamored
You were maybe a
with the
little
woman.
distracted more than normal.
Yeah.
When did you start doing more of like surfing and stuff?
Surfing was when we moved to the vineyard.
Okay, okay. I thought
Yeah.
that's what I was, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. We moved to the vineyard. I forget what year now, 2014 or 15? 15, I think. I think it's been 10 years I've been working out there, and it was a great bunch of there's still great people out there, but there was this group of lads and kids window cleaning, and they all one day they all just said like, "Oh, we're going surfing, Tom, if you want to come." I was like, "Sure, I'll try it out." Like, and it was just I was hooked since then. They
Yeah.
gave me some big board, and I took off down, and it just like clicked in my head. I was like, I could do this here. And I went out and I bought a wetsuit for the winter that was on sale. It was a red, white, and blue wetsuit. It was like Team America's wetsuit that was on sale. Like, sure, nobody wanted to buy this thing. I've never seen anybody in a colored wetsuit since in the water. I spent the whole winter in it, and I knew at skate parks, like people were territorial, but I was part of the skate community even here. I know someone at the park, so I was never worried about it. So I kind of took that into the surf world there. And there was a lot of passive aggressiveness, but when you're just trying to survive in the water, I'm not paying attention to any of that at all. So
Yeah.
that was kind of all going over my head, like, and I knew I was the talk of it. I didn't know. I found out I was the talk of the crew, and I was the biggest kook going, like, but but it was funny.
That's
But
Yeah,
that
cool.
was the
that's
first
funny.
couple of years. It was funny hearing some of the lads who I became good friends with them be like, "Yeah, when you first showed up, like we were like, who is this dude?
Who is this guy?
Who's this big guy coming in the water, splashing around?" I had no business being out there so many times. I was just like, just determined to learn how to do it,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
That's good
uh,
though. I mean, you probably, I always hear Jenna talking about that too. Like a guy came in that knew, had been surfing somewhere for a super long time, and then there was a couple other people there, and then she put her gloves down like on the table because it was cold. So she took her gloves off and she set them down, and he came over and he like throws them in this bush, and he's like, I can't even put my stuff down anymore. And Jenna was like, but those are my gloves. Like just like the culture is what it is. But if you're not
oh,
like ready for it, I'm sure it's extremely like a little
yeah,
bully, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that out in Oregon that happened, or Washington?
Yeah, so no, yeah, it was in Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened in Nicaragua a little bit
Oh,
too. I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure like Sophie has way more stories about like, or Devin having like, you're out in the water and it's way more competitive. But in Washington, I can't remember if she said it was less or not, but I think
No, it's
where they
brutal.
were going,
It's rough.
it's worse.
No, it's
Yeah.
rough in
You're
Washington
saying it's
because
worse,
I've
yeah?
heard that about there in Oregon
yeah, well, in
too, right?
Washington it's rough because we would go surfing like this is 20 years ago or so, but there was a guy in Kirkland, which is like inland pretty far, a few hours,
Mhm.
and he opened a surf shop called The Perfect Wave, and he set up a website and he posted like every secret spot, like every
What?
spot along the coast. So if you had like a Perfect Wave sticker on your car, which Travis had for a while, they were like, "Hey, they liked us, so they were like, we're not gonna do this, but like we'll just bash your windshields in or break your windows out if you have that sticker," because he posted, and he wasn't even like a local. It was like a weird thing.
Okay,
But
so
then even
he
within
maybe
the
was like the worst.
yeah, but even within the community there, it's like a little violent at times, and just like
Mhm.
they don't like outsiders. You're on like Native American land too, so it's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of like levels of uh
Other things at play.
yeah, just a lot of
Wow.
stuff to play. But if they like you, they'll protect you and take care of you. But
That's
if they don't
right.
like you, they they don't like
Right.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Really?
definitely would play like if I got in someone's way, I made sure I apologized. I've had guys yell at me in the water, and some of them I couldn't resolve stuff, but 99% of it,
Yeah.
I know I can resolve it, like
Yeah.
by talking. It's like I have no interest in getting upset
Yeah.
with you. Like I won't be the aggressor. You're going to be aggressive, but watch how
Right.
this will calm down. It's just I don't insult them. I had a funny story one time in the vineyard. There, like you say, secret spots that are out in the open and public beaches.
Yeah. I
That you
know.
could see.
It's funny.
But it's like when the conditions are right, that makes it secret, right? So there was this spot in the vineyard, and I woke up in the morning. I thought of it. I checked the report. I was like, all right, bet this spot's good. Drove up, and you can kind of like there's a couple of roads that you can take to see the spot. Saw it working. No one guy out. I was like, epic. Pull up. I think it's my friend. So I like scurry out into the water and like paddling over, like, I'm being friendly, paddling to the guy to say hello. And then I realize, oh, I don't know the guy. So I say hello anyway. And then he starts, and then I think I say hello, but he takes a wave and he goes in. And then he stands on the beach and he's looking at me. And then he comes back in the water and paddles up to me. He's like, "Hey, where are you from?" And I was living in the island, so I said, "Oh, like I live here." And he's just like, "Why are you surfing this spot, by the way?" And I said, "I actually woke up this morning and I thought of this spot, and it's like his brain melted. He's like, you woke up this morning and you thought of this spot, this wave?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right." And then a set was coming in, and he's like, see what you can do." And I messed up. It was barreling, and there's like the two of us out, and then I don't make the wave, and I kind of come back around. He's like, "You didn't make that one, huh?" And I was like, "No." He got away from me. He's like, "Yeah, you sure you're all right out here and stuff?" And I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
I still don't know his name. I didn't ask him one question. He just kept grilling me
Sure,
about
you're
work and stuff.
okay.
If a
And I
surfer thinks like it's somehow destiny that you were on that wave, he's gonna let you do whatever you want.
Yeah, he actually
yeah,
thought you were some kind of other vision.
Yeah,
yeah,
His
I don't
head
know.
just explodes.
in
He's
his
like, I
head, you
gotta
saw
let
a
this
vision,
thing.
and someone
Yeah,
spoke to you saying, "Go out to that wave."
right.
Maybe.
He got very intimidated.
But there's a
So
little bit
you
of that.
left. He has no idea.
No,
He
I
probably
didn't live.
still talks about it. He probably still
Maybe.
talking about it like you are.
We started chatting a bit more. He stayed in the water a bit, and he just kept coming over, being not a bully or anything like that. We were chatting away fine, but he just started like unleashing about how he hates the crowds and just like the vineyards change. Everybody's like, posting waves and all that. The crowdest it ever really gets at a spot might be 20 people.
Yeah.
And that's very manageable. Like it's not a lot.
No.
So they're complaining about nothing really. Like, and
Yeah.
all the young kids are cool. That's the thing. All the high school kids are awesome. I'll see them at the skate park. So it's mostly good vibes. And there's a lot more girls getting into surfing now, which I find it brings like the greatest vibes to the water.
Uh-huh.
Like these girls we surf with anyway, they're just having fun.
Yeah.
Same with the kids, and then this older generation, they don't go out for the smaller waves anyway. So
Yeah.
it's fun to surf with. But when it's big and stuff, they come out and
Hmm.
they get all serious and stuff. But it's fine.
So do you?
Definitely,
So you lived on the vineyard, but now you moved off to Hyannis,
yeah,
which is just a ferry ride away,
yeah.
just for a change of scenery, or like cheaper, or like what was the?
Well, we were looking to buy a house in the vineyard, and they're very expensive. But there was like a housing, like help out local people housing authority stuff. So we were in the process of trying to get qualified for that type of housing. You'd own the house, but you'd never be able to sell it for vineyard prices. You'd sell it for the mean average of Massachusetts. So
Oh.
still like, a decent house, but you get it for, whatever, like 500,000 or something. It'd be a small enough house, but you couldn't sell it for more than that
Yeah.
with
Okay.
market changes over years. But you'd have a place in the vineyard. It'd be epic. So we're in the process of that, but in the meantime, we had a bit of a tragedy in the family. My sister passed away, but she was in the process of she was about to buy this house that we're living in now with her friend, Chantel. So they were going to buy this house, then that fell through. And then they say don't make big decisions in times of grief, but like I was literally sleeping in this house downstairs, and I've always liked this house a lot. I've not like we knew the people who owned it before. It was a brother. He surfs. He got me into surfing. Actually, really, he took me surfing when we first moved here. Um, and so I was like, yeah, I want this house, and Sarah was in too. So we ended up buying this house, and
It's a
yeah,
very cool house.
yeah,
So
And
you
we've
it's
been
dealt with
here.
so it's just so good.
a bit of tragedy within the family,
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
that led to where you're
Yeah,
living.
yeah, we moved off the vineyard. I just kept working there and I've been commuting since.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got some good clients in the vineyard and it's been keeping us going.
That's
Yeah,
good.
it's a longer commute, but now I've kind of got it dialed in. I've got a vehicle on this side now. I used to like borrow vehicles or take the bus, but when you're doing it to provide, it's just another step. You know,
Mhm.
it was tough for a couple of years for sure. It took its toll
Mhm.
on us, but now I think we've definitely opened ourselves up to asking for help. You know,
Yeah,
especially
that's
since we
good.
bought a house. It's like we can't be just relying on just the two of us anymore.
Yeah.
So we've asked for a lot more help, and we're getting it. And we're loving it.
Oh, that's
We're loving it.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good.
Where's your like how are your parents? Like where are they at? Did they stick it out in the States? Like how is that?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. They live in Katuitt, which is on Cape Cod. They rent a house here. They did own a house out here for years. They sold it and they moved to Portugal for a little bit, and then they came back here to the States, and they're here now, back here again. Yeah,
They like to
yeah.
adventure a little bit.
They are adventurous. Yeah, they're
Mhm.
they're living out this crazy, beautiful, romantic story. The
Right.
two of them.
So
Yeah.
has your mom gotten like a grip on her mental health, like or how she was feeling during that time?
Uh, I think she's always coping with it as best she can. This year, I'm so proud of the two of them. They're getting into the cold water a
Mhm.
ton. I went
Nice.
out with them one time and jumped in, but they'll go down like the water is like 34 degrees
Yeah.
and they're hopping in, and they're
Good for
doing a lot
them.
of cool things. She got some grounding mats.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, I'm really impressed with her.
That's
But
good.
she's she's had a lot of tragedies,
Yeah.
like losing my sister. She had a lot of tragedies before that too. And right now in the family, it isn't. There's 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 three of us in the truth out of seven,
Mm.
but I think there will be five of us again
Yeah.
soon. I hope, but
Yeah.
it'd be great if it was six. But
Yeah.
so
Well, and I
she's
think
a lot of
she's
that.
probably just trying to cope daily like
Yeah,
everybody is, right?
yeah. I'm really proud of her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's good that you have a good outlook on it too. I feel like it
yeah.
is easier to be, like telling my mom last week, you took us out of school and we had no school. So I'm not sure what the plan was. What did you exactly want to teach us? Like, so I missed out on some pretty important things there. My times tables have suffered ever since. So, but it's like they're just like doing the best they can with what life's
Right.
throwing at them too.
Yeah. Yeah. Becoming a parent, I've just have a whole like new scope of empathy
Yeah.
for everything that my parents went that they had seven children. It's like
Oof.
Yeah.
I couldn't even two is
Imagine.
so much.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
was so much, yeah. One is like
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it's unbelievable. So yeah, it's nice having them close by. The kids call them Jimbo from my dad and Mamo from my mom.
Oh,
Oh, that's
cute.
sweet.
That's
Yeah,
good. They get to be around each other too.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
My dad's called Jimbo because when I first started working for him, he'd have all these like clients that other builders he'd work for, and one of them, his name was John McGon, and another fella might have been called Jim, but after a while they all got called Jim. He'd just be like, Jim, and it was just his catch-all for guys whose names he would forget.
Yeah.
So one day I told him, I was like, listen, you keep calling everybody Jim. How would you like it if I started calling you Jim? He's like, go for it. So I call him Jim all
Ah,
the time. And sometimes it goes to Jimbo. And then that's why he's
that's
Jimbo to the
cute.
kid. Yeah.
That's super cute.
Yeah.
Well, good.
But his name's Jeremiah.
You brought up sobriety earlier with us. Like, where did that play into the tragedies, or was it before that? Was it?
Just before. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think Sarah, and she noticed stuff over the years. It's just like how I handled stress. That's really when you know troubles were coming up for me, and then what I did to handle the stress.
Mhm.
So once Magnus came along, uh, the stress was starting to build, and then COVID hit. And during COVID, I was a heavy drinker for sure before that, but I would kind of keep myself in check every now and again. And
Mhm.
take a step back, maybe take a month off, that sort of stuff. But when I would go off the handle, it would just be I would black out. I would just black
Mhm.
out or brown out. That was happening quite a bit.
Mhm.
So throughout the years, the brothers in the hall have been great help. We were in a sign language hall, and they really helped me one time. I went to them. They suggested great measures and like how many drinks to have a week, and that just didn't last. But I
Mhm.
didn't go back to my old ways probably for a good few years, and then once the pandemic hit, it was like
Mm.
I don't know. It was for my mental health and the addiction. It was like a big wake up call. Like, oh, there's a big problem here.
Yeah.
I would be at work already having a few drinks in me, and I would find myself like just crying on the
Mhm.
ground, and I would be like, why am I crying?
Whoa. Yeah.
Like I don't know why I'm crying, and I would figure out why I was stressed, and it was money, and it was relationship issues with family members and me and
Mhm.
Sarah not getting along. And just, I wasn't asking for help. I wasn't
Mhm.
going to somebody. I was telling everybody it was fine.
Right.
I was just thinking we'll sort it. I was just a bit of a tough period. Um, and then I just talked to a good friend, uh, February 14th, 2021. And he just said, Tom, you need to stop. Now, Sarah told me
Like the
that I need to
answer
stop.
is no.
The
He's like, your
answer is
answer
no.
is no.
Yeah, I woke up in my truck one night, like, and I didn't remember how I got where I was. I
Mhm.
remembered before that I was driving like erratically. I was driving over 100 miles per hour on these roads in the
Oh
vineyard,
gosh.
and I had just too much.
Yeah.
And I came to in my truck out of gas. And for some reason, I called an elder. I called an elder. He came down, picked me up. He didn't think anything. He just picked me up. He's like, "You ran out of gas, no worries." Dropped me home, figured it out, got gas in the truck, went home. I just told another buddy that story,
Mhm.
and that was it. He's like, Thomas, you need to stop
Wow.
now. And I did, and I haven't went back to it. It's been 4 years.
Oh,
But it
Wow.
really was just the start of me taking charge of the mental health. And then eventually I got into AA, into a good group in that, got therapy. And then from there, it's been a journey with therapists. And then
Mhm.
eventually, now with psychiatrists, I've got a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. I take medication for that. And this
Mhm.
past winter has been the best winter in the
oh,
last 4 years
Oh
for me.
wow.
I unfortunately, like my brain was just going to, I didn't want to live anymore.
Okay.
And I was what the Sarah really wanted me to get help and stop because of those reasons. I was
Yeah.
always when I would get too upset, that would be my go-to,
Mhm.
thing I could throw out there. Like I'm feeling this way. This is what I want to
Yeah.
do. I don't want to be too dramatic, but I was
Yeah.
constantly threatening that myself mentally. I was torturing myself with those thoughts. And it was like all stuff coming up from my youth, being bullied, and a couple of traumatic things that happened.
Mhm.
It was just overwhelming, and I wasn't getting any help. So once I got it and I started talking about it, I saw the path. But I
Okay.
knew it was going to be a long path to like figuring out what's up, with me. And
Yeah.
uh, but this past winter has been the best one.
Wow.
Best one yet. I can say I haven't felt like the way I did in previous years, where a solution to my problems was me not being around.
Mhm.
It's not on the table anymore for me, and that does it's a huge win for me.
Yeah.
It feels fantastic.
Oh man. So proud of you, Tom.
thanks for sharing
Thanks.
that. That's a lot to throw out there, but it's
Yeah,
so so powerful.
Yeah. And I like that you said that, yes, the path is going to be super hard. The path is going to be really long, but
yeah,
I think it's important that you said, but the path was there. I think
yes,
a lot of times that is the problem, exactly what you're saying, that they maybe aren't even looking at what that path could be. They're just so engulfed in their own
right.
sadness,
Yeah.
stress, like you said, undealt with trauma. And so it's like there isn't a path. But
Hmm.
once you just even had that inkling of it, that was enough to be like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna go full on this,
right.
So I think that's good for people to hear, honestly.
Yeah, there is good help out there. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that like want to help. And it takes that action, just being humble enough to like,
Yeah.
I need some help with this. And like the help now, like that keeps me in check is just regular phone calls with good
Yeah.
buddies with similar issues or different issues.
Uh-huh.
We just give each other a phone call, just check in.
That's good.
It's small enough stuff. It's just showing love at that level for me. Just picking up the phone call, making a call to some dude, checking in keeps
Yeah.
me in check. And
Yeah.
I've got this whole new set of friends that I would have never imagined. I knew some of these guys before, but we're just acquaintances. But now they're like my brothers.
Yeah.
And there's old as 70, like and as young as in their mid 20s, and
Yeah.
everything in between. And every situation that I could have gone into, or like they've experienced it all between them in these groups. And you
Yeah.
realize that that forgiveness is out there,
Mhm.
is there for you to thrive on.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's what's offered for you
Yeah.
to thrive. Like you can make these mistakes, you'll suffer the consequences,
Yeah.
but there's a path through it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's well traveled, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now
It's
you
pretty
have
cool.
like this nice wealth of knowledge too, that you can also say like genuinely I've been where you are, or I've struggled with what you're struggling with, and
Yeah.
offer that huge amount of
Hmm.
I'm succeeding. If you don't have someone to look at that
Right.
you have seen them like actually succeed at something that seems that you can't do it, it can be beyond, I mean, it can be the one thing you need to really pull the trigger on being like, no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So that's really,
Right.
really good, Tom.
But I think it's helped me listen to other people way better.
Oh, okay.
Because before I would hear somebody's problems and I'd be quickly just thinking, you just need to do this. What are you doing? Stop. Like I had friends come to me when I was drinking. I would be upset if they told me, oh, I think I need to cut back on the drinking. I would take offense
Oh,
because I loved it so much. I was like, no, no, no,
you're
back it up.
crazy.
And it for on moderation is the goal. I do think I
Right.
don't think alcohol is evil whatsoever. Like
Yeah.
I'm so happy for people to enjoy it responsibly, and I wish I did. But I was like, I would just give like very generic. You just need to like just do it. Just be better, and just like stop. Don't think those thoughts. And but meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'd be torturing myself on my own, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't be telling anybody about it. I'd
Yeah.
just be like ashamed that I had those weak. Well, I looked at them as weak thoughts, but
Yeah.
they weren't. They were just real things I was going through, and I needed help with them.
Yeah.
But like thinking you can just like kind of read a chapter of the Bible or just go out and surface and you'll be all right. Like it's those are good things to do, but if you're not tying up all those loose ends, they get looser and looser, and you
Right.
lose control. Like, and
Yeah.
it's it not inevitable for everybody, I'm sure, but it can get that way if things are
Yeah.
unchecked for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think we're gonna have to put your number at the end of the pod. So
Yeah.
just
Hey, if anybody
FYI, if
has
you need
I'm
a
happy.
call.
We've got our group is like from out in Seattle down to Florida,
That's so
all over
nice.
the states. Yeah,
And
and
like you
there's
said, important asking people too, like not being not humble enough to be like, I'm not okay, or
right.
I do need help with this. I think that can be really hard
Right.
for women, but especially for men too, you know, carrying like the whole household like you're doing now or like any guy's doing. You know, it
Right.
can be hard to be like, let me pause and look at like how I can get better.
Mm.
Yeah. I do
So
hear
good
more of
job.
it though. I hear a lot more from
Yeah.
my peers, and I think the the organization, the literature is like been so fantastic.
Yeah. Way more
The
open about it, I feel like.
oh yeah, and they've always had the greatest advice.
Yeah.
A neat thing, we have this database of scriptures and articles that kind of link up with 12-step principles. So it's
Oh,
just like,
nice.
and a lot of the links are like to old watchtowers.
Huh.
Mm.
And you look them up, like something from 78, and I'm just blown away by the. I was like, this is right on. This is exactly. Well, I mean, it's like people are posting on TikTok like stuff from
Yeah.
this, that type of advice
Yeah.
now
Right.
is more mainstream, and it was just so. I thought it was so cool. Like
Yeah.
it's like I've had these answers like in the shelves of book rooms now into my pocket. Like
That's
it's
awesome.
pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's accessible.
That's really
That's
cool.
very
I'm
cool.
grateful.
Well, thanks for coming on
Oh yeah.
and telling us a little bit of your story.
Oh, no
Yeah.
worries.
It was
We'll have
really
to
great,
get
Tom.
into the soccer
We have to
Well,
do a part two.
I
another
mean,
time, or just give you a phone. I could give you a phone call and chat your ear off about last
I
week's
was gonna
oh
say,
events.
yeah. Oh yeah. We'll talk offline about, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about Man U right now with what's going on, but
Listen, that was a
Liverpool's in
time.
first in
Hey,
Champions League. It's going
yeah.
good.
Oh, they're doing fantastic. I like watching Liverpool. I don't hate them
They
at all.
beating City in at the Etihad was pretty good.
That was epic.
That was
That
a
was pretty cool.
great match.
Yeah, yeah.
you're gonna
No,
have to
I
do a
think you're good.
whole other
They're
pod
gonna
about
win it
this.
for
Yeah.
sure.
You're gonna have to do a Tom and Liverpool 2.0 pod to get all of it in there.
So
Yeah.
was real fast was United the team in that area, or was it a player that got you into the
They
club?
were doing so good,
Yeah.
like in the early '90s and stuff. But Roy Keane
Yeah.
and Dennis Irwin were from Cork City,
Okay.
so they were huge. And then like Eric Cantona played from the French. Like I thought he was so good. He was so cool to watch. And then David Beckham came up. I
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
him. I remember him getting his first goal, hearing about it.
Yeah.
Like his father jumped up and broke some guy's nose. Like it was just, I was so into it. Like they were the greatest, and to watch them win the Champions League that time was one of the top sports moments like I've ever experienced. It was
That's
so
cool.
cool.
I got into Liverpool because of Steven Gerrard.
Oh, dude,
So
it's epic.
I got into him and then the team, and then they were seventh for like 10 years. And
Right.
now I'm like reaping the benefits of sticking with
Oh
it.
yeah.
But I watched a lot of like mediocre Liverpool. Uh
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I got into them right after they had lost they lost the Champions League in '07.
Okay. So
They
you
won it.
missed Istanbul.
I missed Istanbul, which I now can go back and watch those
That's
highlights
so cool,
and
right?
that come back and love it. But yeah, it was like late, like 08, '09. I got into them and then
Cool.
just kind of watched a team struggle. But
Well, you're a true fan then if you're getting in then.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Cantona was on in a Liam Gallagher music video.
Oh yeah, is he? I'll have to watch that.
Oh, the song is Once. It's like one of my favorite songs. But
Oh really?
Liam got Cantona to be in one of his music videos. It's pretty fun because Liam's a
Wow.
big City fan,
Right.
but he asked Cantona to be in the video, and it's pretty good. So check it
You
out. It's called
you ever
Once.
look up his like press conferences or anything?
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's funny.
Melissa, you'd love him.
I know. I'm
Yeah,
like,
There,
what is the press conference? I want to watch that.
he would just like come up with, I think he would quote actual poetry, but it'd be such an obscure reference. He's
yeah.
got this famous one about like the seagull. I forget it all, but you look it up on it's a good
All right, we
watch.
got to put it on our story too.
He's like a
I want to
very
see it.
charismatic Frenchman, just
Oh yeah.
very very unique and very
Okay.
like kind of pompous if you didn't know anything about him, but he's
Right.
hilarious.
Very
But
good.
All right, well,
I'll
I
find
gotta
the
see.
story. But like Liam tells the story of getting Cantona to be in the video, and Liam was like, "We'll pay for your flight." He's like, "I'll pay for my own flight." He's like,
Oh, I think
"Pay
I
for your
have heard
food."
this.
He's
Yeah.
like, "I pay for my own food." Like he wouldn't let them pay for anything. He did his own thing the whole way. It was pretty funny.
Oh my
Amazing.
word.
You ever see the movie Eric? It's about him. He's like an imaginary friend to a Manchester United supporter.
I've heard about that, but I've never seen it.
It has one of the most beautiful scenes in it where he's asking Cantona, "What was your favorite goal?" And he's like, he says, "My favorite moment wasn't a goal; it was an assist." And it was
Mhm.
an assist he gave Dennis Irwin,
Mm.
the guy from Cork. And it like you'd have to watch. I wouldn't do it justice, but like I would start tear. I was
All right,
crying watching that. It's just like
all right. We're gonna have a
so
lot to
beautiful.
post this week with like
Yeah, we gotta
clips,
find a lot of clips
Cantona
because
clips,
people are
the
gonna
whole
want to
work.
see them.
Yeah.
Oh, they're classic.
I love that. And
Shia
what's the
LaBeouf.
movie? It's called
Shia
Eric.
LaBeouf
Is he in it?
famously quoted. No, he famously quoted him at a press conference once.
Oh,
Yeah, he quotes one of his like Shia
What?
shows up for a movie and he just quotes Cantona.
oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
That's great. All
All
right.
right, well,
Well,
you got to have a song, Tom.
yeah, let's wrap it up. Do you got some music for us?
I do. I have a song. Oh, John Ford,
John
Okay.
Ford.
"Love on My Brain."
Okay.
Right.
John Ford, "Love on My Brain," and oof, I'll go Manic Street Preachers, Australia.
Okay.
I've
That
not
was
heard
like
of that.
they're like a band I grew up listening to. Very angsty,
Okay.
Welsh band, but they have a cool song about Australia. It's pretty neat.
Okay.
All right. Cool. What
All
do you
right,
got,
you go.
Melissa?
No, you go, Jake,
Me?
next.
Um, there's a band, Lars Fredriksson from Rancid did a side band, and he's got a song called Skunks, which is one of my favorites.
The fact that it's called Skunks
Well,
and
like,
you talked about
Oh,
skunks?
no, I
What?
thought I thought of it after he talked about the skunks. I was like, let's put skunks on the playlist.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Lars Fredriksson, Skunks,
That's great.
and I was trying to think of like an Irish song that I like. Um,
I
let's
have to
do
grab my phone. It's right here. I have my song on it.
let's do there's a band called Black 47.
Black
Uh
47.
and they have a song called Big Fella, which is about the big fella, uh Michael Collins.
Oh, really?
And that's a good one. So let's do Big Fella. And then I don't think we have any Pogues. Uh, so let's just do Fairy Tale to New York, just to
Great.
throw something on the little
Great
Sheet
song.
McGowan shout out.
Yeah.
Fairy Tale to New York.
Yeah,
You've heard it, Melissa. It's like
heard
it's
it.
one of the most famous. It's a famous Christmas song.
It sounds like it is a Christmas song.
Is it not the famous
Well,
Christmas
they
song?
just reference that time of year.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a Christmas song. I feel like
No,
it
he's just
references
saying,
Christmas.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
But
that.
do they say, is it the one that says, this Christmas, I'll give you my heart, the very next year you gave it away or whatever? That's
No,
my favorite Christmas song.
No, it's not that one.
Well, I wish it was.
Okay. Well, you can put it on the list if you want.
is that George
Oh,
Michael?
no.
I don't know.
George Michael?
That might
No,
be.
I don't think so.
It might be. It might be Wham. It might be George Michael and
Yeah, it's Wham.
Oh yeah, that's Georgie Boy.
yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah. Tom's like, I said it. Yes, you were right.
Maybe one of the more handsome men that's ever lived.
And
That's
and
accurate.
a solid voice. That guy's got a voice on him that's unmatched.
Man,
Okay,
he'll
hold
be
on.
missed.
I'm finding it.
Rest in peace.
Rest in
I
peace.
shouldn't have pointed up when I said that. I didn't mean like pointing up like he's up there, but just like rest in peace.
Yeah,
He's number
sure
one.
you did.
He's number one. That's what I meant. Yeah, he's number one.
Rest in peace, big dog. All right, I'm gonna do the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, the impression
Ooh.
that I get.
Oh,
It's already on the list.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. I put it on there like
No, you didn't.
6 months ago.
They're
You're
so
being
good.
serious.
I am, because remember, I don't remember why, but
Also, how do you remember that? You always remember that.
because
Oh,
I
you
do
could
the
do
list.
It's So Sad to Say. That's another good song. I don't know.
Okay, we can do that one.
All right.
And then we can also do, okay, fine, we'll do Streetlight Manifesto, Everything Went Numb.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, okay, all right,
Okay.
all right.
No, that sounds
Yeah, yeah, I wanted to do less than,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to do less than Jake.
Why didn't you?
I'll save it because I've already been mocked. I've already been mocked too much about it. We already have that one. Don't you know who Wham is? I got to stick with what I know at this point.
I'm gonna add one more because I only did two.
If you add less than Jake, I'm going to be mad.
Never mind. I was gonna do.
I knew it. You
All
dog.
right. We'll wait.
You dog. We can do less than Jake if you want to.
All right. I'll do the science of selling. What is it called? The science of selling one short.
Yeah.
The science
I
of
don't know
selling
them.
the science of selling yourself short.
I don't know about
Oh,
that.
brother.
All right. I'll send it to you, Thomas.
Sounds good.
Let's link up offline and we'll
Link up off the
Love it.
line.
we'll do like a offline pod of
You need to have Tom on. Are you taking care of yourself?
That was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That last one.
Oh, thanks. That one's fun. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hit the 1,000-pound club was reached for
Yeah.
the homie.
Oh, man. I did
John
hear
did it.
about this through the wavelength that somebody was on a 1,000 pounds journey.
I love that you reject. Are you taking care of yourself? I heard about this other thing.
I don't know. It sounded silly, but
That my husband does.
yeah, I don't know. I was like, what are you
What
doing?
did-
Why is the computer on? Ugh.
Who are you talking to?
Yeah. Who are these numbskulls on the screen?
What is this medium you're conversing in and
Yeah.
sharing it with people?
A medium.
Oh man.
So odd.
Oh my gosh. Well, this
All
was a
right.
blast, Tom.
This
It
was
was so
great.
Very
good.
fun. Thanks,
Yeah,
It was
guys.
thank
great
you.
being with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Tell
guys.
everybody hi, Tom. We love
will,
you
of
guys.
course.
See you
All
guys
right.
you
later.
We'll
guys,
see
too.
ya.
All right.
Okay,
Very
bye.
good night. Bye.